Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture what we are going to do is that in this init function right here we are basically going to initialize each and every variable which we have right here right now. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing which you need to do is that you need to pass in a few parameters to this init function. So the first parameter is going to be the project name. So you type in project underscore name. The next parameter is going to be the base URL. So you type in base URL over here, and the third parameter is going to be the domain name. So this is the information which you need when you get started with the Spider, because you obviously need to understand in which project we are working. Then you need to have a base URL, that is the first URL which the Spider crawls, and also you need to have a domain name to make sure that we only crawl the URLs related to this particular domain. So once you have that, you're pretty much good to go. So the next thing which you do is that you basically go ahead and initialize these variables. So to initialize this, we type in spider dot, the first variable name is project name. So this is going to be equal to project name itself. Then we go to the next variable. So we type spider dot base URL, and that is also going to be equal to base URL. Then let's go ahead and do the same thing with domain name. So we type spider dot domain name equals domain name. Then in place of Q files, what we are going to do is that we will type spider dot Q file. This is going to be equal to spider dot project name, and along with the project name we are going to add in the path, which is the file path, which is q.txt. So this is going to be the entire file path for the Q file. Then let's do the same thing with the crawl file as well. So that is going to be spider dot crawl files, and this should actually be crawl file, not crawl files. So make sure that you make the relevant changes, and this is going to be equal to spider dot project name plus, and you are going to have slash crawled over here. So once you have the path set up, the next thing which you need to do is that you actually need to start up your Spider. So in order to start up your Spider, you actually need to go ahead and you actually need to boot up the Spider. But even before doing that, make sure that you have an equal to sign over here, and make sure that you kind of have spaces in between these things so that you don't get a warning. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now the next thing to do is to basically boot up the Spider. So we type self dot boot, and boot is a function which we are going to create in the upcoming lecture. So what this boot function is going to do is that it's actually going to create the project directory, which is going to be the project name. So that project directory is also going to contain the Q file and the crawl file. So this boot function actually takes care of both of these things, that is, it basically creates both of them. And once those are created, what you need to do is that you also need to start crawling the page. So we will also add a method for that. So that would be self dot crawl underscore page, and what this is going to do is that it's actually going to crawl the entire web page. So we have also not declared this function yet, but what this is going to do is that it's going to accept the first spider. So let me just type in first spider over here, and then let's actually pass in the first spider, which is spider dot base URL. So once this thing is done, we are good to go. Now our next task is to basically define these two functions, that is the boot function and the crawl page function. So as I said, the significance of boot function is to basically make this directory, which is the site in this case, and to basically create the q.txt file and the crawl.txt file. And once this thing is done, it actually crawls up the first web page, and after that this crawl page function is actually going to crawl in the next pages. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.